The arrival that silenced the stars were calm that day. No battles. No screams. Just silence across the black sea of space. Commander Dren of the Velari Recon Fleet sat in his command chair, watching a distant object slowly appear on their long-range scans. His crew whispered among themselves, unsure of what they were seeing. It was no ordinary ship. Too big. Too quiet. Too unknown. They had come to this uncharted sector of the galaxy after hearing rumors of a strange world, a place called Earth. Most races had dismissed it as myth, primitive, isolated, dangerous only in old stories passed around spaceports by drunk mercenaries. But now, they saw something that didn't match that belief at all. The ship emerging from the void was massive. No lights, no greetings. Just a silent approach from the darkness, like a ghost wearing armor of metal and fire. "What is that?" Dren asked quietly. No one answered. The ship's silhouette began to form more clearly. It wasn't sleek like Velari cruisers. It wasn't insect-like the Iltec swarm ships. This one was different. Straight lines, heavy plating, weapon, ports big enough to launch moons. It didn't glide it move through space like it owned every inch of it. Suddenly, the ship sent out a transmission, a simple, deep-toned voice translated by their system. "This is Titan-01, Earth vessel. You are entering Terran watch space. State your intent." A silence followed. No bravado. No threat. Just a calm voice deadly in its control. The Velari bridge crew looked to their commander. Dren tried to speak, but nothing came out at first. His throat was dry. He had faced many battles. He had stared down swarm leaders, pirate kings, and even rogue AI fleets. But this wasn't like anything else. Send a response," he finally muttered. Their ship's comms officer replied, in shaky tones, "We are explorers. We mean no harm." The Titan ship didn't reply for a full minute. The wait felt like eternity. Then, the response came. "Hold your position. Do not move. Scanners are active." Bright blue lights shot out from the human ship, scanning their vessel like it was paper. One crew member cried out it felt like being looked through, not just looked at. "What kind of scanner is that?" The engineer gasped. It's mapping our entire system internal codes, energy flow, life readings like we're nothing." Dren could only watch. Then, another message arrived. "Your weapons systems are inefficient. Shield tech is outdated. Navigation protocol lacks vector prediction. You are advised to upgrade before entering deeper Terran space." It wasn't a threat. It was a judgment. The alien crew stared at the screen as the human Titan ship slowly turned, revealing row after row of massive cannon batteries, all powered but silent. And then it moved forward slow, steady closer to them, not firing, not fleeing, just passing by like a giant ignoring insects. I think they're letting us go," someone whispered. But it didn't feel like mercy. It felt like warning. As the Titan-class ship drifted past, every Velari on the bridge felt the same chill deep inside. This wasn't a backwater species. This wasn't a primitive world. This was a force that didn't need to roar. It just had to arrive. And already, the galaxy would never feel the same again. Asterisk, even their silence was louder than our warships. The Velari Recon Fleet stayed in place long after the Titan-class ship had vanished from their scanners. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed too loud. The shadow of that massive vessel still haunted their screens and minds. Commander Dren slowly stood from his seat. "Are we still alive?" he asked, not to mock, but because it honestly didn't feel real. "Yes, Commander," the communications officer whispered. "No damage. No attacks. No communication after the last warning." Dren turned toward the main display. It still showed a faint trail of energy where the human ship had gone energy far denser than any their fleet had ever measured. That wasn't just a ship, he murmured. That was a message. The crew looked at each other. Even the young ones, fresh from academy, understood. Earth hadn't sent diplomats. They hadn't sent explorers. They had sent Titan no one, and the silence it left behind was louder than any war ever fought. Suddenly, the room shook just a ripple, like thunder far away. "Another ship?" asked the weapons officer. "No," replied the sensor tech, sweat on his brow. "That's a ripple from Titan no one's warp wake. It's still echoing across this sector." "It shouldn't be possible," whispered the engineer. "Ships don't leave wakes like that unless they fold reality around them." "Commander," Dren's mind raced. "That means their engines aren't just pushing through space. They're bending it." Nobody spoke. The ship had passed them by, but it had left them changed. Dren tapped the comms. "Send a message to High Command. Priority 1. The officer nodded and began typing. "What's the report, sir?" asked his second in command. Dren stared out the viewport. "Tell them Earth has sent a Titan-class vessel. Do not engage. Do not provoke. Do not even approach unless invited. And if they ask why," he paused, "tell them, because it looked at us like we were made of glass." Back on Earth, deep inside a military command base hidden under the polar ice, a human general stood silently before a large display. The Titan-class ship's path was being traced across sectors. He sipped from a steel cup and turned to a technician. "Reaction. All known fleets that detected Titan no one have stopped moving. Long-range scans show heavy retreat patterns. And Valari? They've pulled back 3 systems already. Their patrols are avoiding Earth's borders now." The general gave a small nod. "Good. Let them talk. Let them whisper." A younger officer nearby raised a hand. "Sir, why did we send Titan no one without escort? Isn't it risky?" The general smiled slightly. "Escorts are for ships that might need help. Titan no one is the help." He paused. And now the galaxy knows. Back with the Valari, High Command had already received Dren's report. A council of admirals sat in stunned silence. They watched the footage over and over the scans of the Titan-class vessel. The voice message, the passive power it displayed. An old admiral finally stood. His voice was hoarse. "This is no longer about war," he said. "This is about survival." The others looked at him in confusion. He pointed at the paused image of Titan no one. "They never fired, never threatened. And yet, we are afraid. That is power. That is control. And that is the kind of species we pretended did not exist." No one argued. The oldest admiral leaned on his staff and whispered something no one expected to hear. "We need to talk to Earth before someone else makes the mistake of firing first." The galaxy's greatest fleets now whispered a name. Titan no one across the stars in every station, command post, and battlecruiser briefing room. One name had spread like a slow wave. Titan-01. Not Earth. Not humanity. Not even TERANS. Just Titan no one. And with it came silence, fear, and caution. On the warships of the Zarn Dominion known for their unmatched fleet tactics, their admirals gathered for a strategy review. Holograms of past battles floated around the chamber, charts, weapons, victories. But today, no battle simulations were shown. No new designs reviewed. Only one image remained fixed on the center table. Titan no one, the ship's black, jagged hull, its endless rows of unknown weapon turrets, its silent forward march. "This ship ignored our listening posts," one Zarn commander said. "We tried to jam its scans. It pushed through. We tried to follow. It vanished. It bent physics." Another said, "Warp fields shouldn't ripple like that. It's like they've found a way to treat space as clay." They all looked to Grand Admiral Trax, the oldest among them. "What do we do?" one asked. Trax growled softly. "We do what we've never done. We stay out of the way." There were no objections. Meanwhile, Earth's diplomatic channels began to buzz, not with arrogance but with quiet, cold coordination. Messages were received from multiple empires, offers of treaties, apologies for past skirmishes, Curiously polite language. The Terran Council reviewed every message. They're panicking. One advisor said, they want peace, suddenly, because we sent a Titan class. Asked another. No, replied the fleet marshal, because we sent one, and no one knows how many more exist. That silence struck the room, because the truth was they didn't. Even Earth's own population didn't know. Titan-class ships were hidden behind layers of secrecy. Their production numbers, crew, and even technology were above top-level clearance. All the public knew was this. Earth had vanished from the galactic spotlight for decades. And now, it had returned with a ship that made death fleets retreat without a shot. On a hidden moon in the Arkan Belt, a black market tech dealer replayed footage of Titan 01's scan beam frame by frame. It didn't just scan, he muttered to his assistant. It learned. I think it rewrote our ship's firewall during the scan and then left it intact. His assistant blinked. Why would it do that? To show us it could break us. Around them, traders, smugglers, and even exiled warlords watched the footage with stiff faces. The message was becoming clearer by the hour. Earth had not stayed quiet because it was weak. It had stayed quiet to prepare. Out on a diplomatic vessel, orbiting the neutral world of Cassari Prime, an alien diplomat stared at her reflection. Her claws trembled. She had just received an official invite. Earth had accepted a diplomatic meeting. The message was just 5 words. You may speak. One ship. No coordinates. No further instruction. She now had to send a reply and choose which. Single ship would risk going where Titan 01 had passed, behind her. Her aide whispered the words everyone had been thinking. What if Earth has more of them? She said nothing. Because deep down, she feared the answer wasn't if. It was how many. Asterisk, we thought we ruled the stars, then humanity opened the door for thousands of cycles. The galactic powers believed they understood control. The Valari controlled deep space logistics. The Zarn controlled wartime strategy. The Cassari held the trade routes. And the Val had the largest known fleets. Each believed they were the peak of civilization. Then Titan 01 appeared. And with it, everything changed. On the outer edge of the Lyra expanse, a council of the most powerful species gathered for an emergency session. Holographic images of Earth, Titan 01, and human movement patterns were projected in glowing detail. The head of the Val Navy, Admiral Kor, looked around the silent room. We built our fleets for every known threat, he said, but none of our simulations ever included Earth. They were isolated, hissed a Cassari trade lord, ignored the forums. No embassy, no trade. We thought they were too primitive or too proud. No, said the Zarn ambassador. They were listening, watching us, and building in silence. And now, another asked, now, they opened the door. Earth finally sent an open transmission. One message across every empire's frequency. To all who hear this, we are returning to the stars. Do not follow us. Do not test us. Let the silence be your peace. There were no threats. No promises. Just a truth calm, cold, and full of power. In a small military outpost on the frozen planet of Vexen 3. A young cadet named Relo watched the message repeat on loop. His hand trembled slightly over the replay button. Do you think they're bluffing? He asked his commander. The older officer stared at the screen. That ship didn't bluff, cadet. It didn't even flinch. But it was just one ship. The officer turned slowly. That's what scares me. Elsewhere, in the hidden Terran command hub buried beneath the Martian surface, senior human leaders reviewed their intel. A younger strategist smiled. We're shaking the galaxy without a single shot. The older general across the table didn't smile. This was never about fear, he said. It's about respect. They built empires while laughing at us. Now they realize we were never quiet because we were weak. We were quiet because we were learning. The room fell into deep silence. Then, the general added, and now, we knock. On the diplomatic world of Cassari Prime, the one-ship delegation from Earth finally arrived. It wasn't Titan 01, but it didn't need to be. The vessel was smaller, sleeker, but bore the same dark hull design. Minimalist, silent, dreadful in its simplicity. As it landed, no weapons were visible, and yet the guards on the ground couldn't stop their hands from trembling. The ramp descended. A human in black armor walked out. He didn't speak. He simply handed over a sealed data chip. Then he turned and left. The chip was placed into the forum's display system, and when it played, every alien diplomat leaned forward. Earth's voice echoed once again, calm, clear, unstoppable. You ruled the stars while we prepared. But we are not here to kneel. We are here to build. Step aside, or be left behind. Every empire held its breath, and Earth took one step forward. The forum chamber was quiet. Not from lack of noise, but from awe. The message Earth had delivered now hovered as light above the central days, replaying its words on a loop. Step aside, or be left behind. Not a demand, not a war cry. Just a statement, unshakable and final. Delegates whispered among themselves. Some tried to hide fear behind pride. Others wore expressions of confusion. A few looked like they had seen the end of an age, and in a way, they had. The head of the Valari delegation stood. What does Earth want? No one answered, because Earth hadn't asked for anything. They had simply arrived. In the deep orbit above Cassari Prime, the Earth vessel remained parked and silent. It had no escort, no shields activated, no weapons deployed. Yet not a single other ship approached it. Inside the vessel, a single human pilot sat in quiet meditation. He watched the stars as if they were old friends. His orders were simple. Hold position. Say nothing. Let the galaxy decide its next move. Back in Valari space, Admiral Dren watched the transmission again. Every time he did, it felt heavier. He sat alone in his war room, surrounded by outdated fleet models and broken assumptions. How many more ships like Titan 01 exist? He asked himself aloud. His second-in-command entered with fresh intelligence reports. Admiral, there's something else. Our listening satellites picked up new drive signatures. Not from Titan 01. Different ones. Dren straightened. How many? At least 5. Possibly more. All heading into sectors we left unguarded. They're moving. Yes. Slowly. Precisely. The Admiral turned back to the screen. Earth wasn't just watching anymore. It was walking forward. On Earth. Beneath the mountain cities of old continents. Factories that no longer showed up on satellite maps began to hum with energy. New Titan-class frameworks were being constructed. Each one faster. Each one stronger. Each one cloaked behind the fog of secrecy. In a quiet room above those factories, an old human engineer sat with a design schematic. Are they ready? A commander asked him. The man looked up and smiled faintly. They were ready the moment we launched Titan 01. The galaxy just didn't know yet. In the halls of power on Arkham Prime, an emergency session of the High Council ended in division. Some leaders called for diplomacy. Others wanted war before Earth gained more power. A few simply wanted to hide. But no decision was made, because every plan depended on a question no one could answer. What is Earth's true goal? And the more they watched Titan 01's first appearance, the more they feared that the goal wasn't conquest. It was dominance through silence, precision, and presence. That same night, in a crowded civilian bar orbiting a trade station, 2 smugglers sat at a dusty table. One leaned in. You hear the newest rumor? What? They say Earth didn't build Titan 01 for war. Then what was it for? To show the galaxy what a real warship could be. The other smugglers sat back slowly. And how many more do you think they have? The first didn't answer, because deep inside, they both knew. Enough. No one dared speak first until Earth's second Titan arrived. For weeks, the galaxy held its breath. No new messages. No new demands. Earth remained silent. Titan 01 stayed hidden. Location unknown. The lone Terran diplomatic vessel remained parked above Cassari Prime, unmoving like a warning beacon that said, "We are watching." The fear had settled into something worse. Anticipation. Then it happened. Across the stars, early warning beacons lit up like wildfire. A second signal. Massive energy readings. Gravity bends across space. But it wasn't Titan 01. It was something bigger. The Valari fleet first caught it. Commander Dren was the one to see the readings appear on his main console. "New contact," his sensor officer said, voice shaking. "Even larger than Titan 01, nearly double the output." Dren leaned forward. The screen shimmered with energy waves. "Put it on screen." The ship that appeared had no nameplate, no identification codes. Just a silent shape breaking through the edge of reality. The hull looked darker than space itself. Its movement was slow, not because it was lazy, but because it chose to move like that. "This isn't a warship," whispered an officer. "It's a fortress. No comms, no introduction, no warning." The ship passed by the nearest Valari patrol like they weren't even worth noticing. And just like Titan 01 before it, this vessel let its silence speak. The Cassari trade lords immediately called for a second summit. 2 ships? That means production. One of them panicked. "They're mass-producing Titan-class warships." "Not warships," corrected a Val admiral. "Weapons. Moving ones." There was no longer any doubt. Earth had returned, not with a fleet, not with bluster, but with symbols. Symbols of power, purpose, and control. On a hidden military station orbiting the dying star Tor, a classified meeting took place. 12 species attended. Not to discuss alliance, but to ask the same question. Can Earth be stopped before it decides we're unnecessary? Some wanted to strike preemptively. Others begged for peace. A few remained silent, too frightened to choose sides. But no plan emerged, because no one could say how many more Titans Earth had, or how many were already watching. Back on Earth, deep under a hidden facility known only as Vault Omega 3, humans stood before a vast screen showing the galaxy. Red dots marked the known fleets of other species. Blue lines showed trade routes, and 5 glowing white symbols pulsed in silence. Each one marked a Titan. "We don't need war," said the older woman in the center. "We just need to make them believe war is already lost." The others nodded. Earth's greatest weapon wasn't the Titans themselves. It was the doubt they planted. Somewhere between 2 major star systems, a convoy of alien refugees tried to cross a neutral zone. Pirates jumped them mid-dash flight. No ships answered their distress calls. Until a shadow passed over the lead pirate vessel. The pirates didn't even get the chance to fire. The second Titan fired a single blue beam clean. Silent, instantaneous. It sliced through 3 ships without damaging the refugee vessels at all. Then the Titan turned. And vanished. The convoy's captain cried on open comms, "We are alive, because the humans are watching." Asterisk. Titan 01 was just the beginning. Now the galaxy stands still. The galaxy changed. Without a single war declaration, trade lanes shifted. Patrol routes curved away from Terran space. Pirate activity dropped. Diplomats stumbled over their words. Every empire's command center had one silent rule on its top board: avoid Terran Titans. High above the galactic core, on the Grand Council station, leaders from over 40 species met once more. No debates, no insults, no power plays. Only fear. The Cassari diplomat finally spoke. "We once called Earth primitive, silent, unworthy." Her voice trembled. "But now, we cannot even count their Titans." A Zarn commander nodded grimly. "They do not need allies. They do not seek war. But their silence is louder than our fleets." A younger delegate from a minor species stood up. "So what do we do?" The room fell quiet. And the Val Admiral finally said it. "We wait, because far beyond any council, in the shadow of a collapsed neutron star, Titan 03 powered up. Its hull shimmered, barely visible in the void. Unlike Titan 01, this one was not meant to be seen. It was a ghost ship, running on silent tech, designed to vanish between dimensions. Even Earth's own allies barely knew it existed. Inside its bridge, a lone pilot watched the galaxy through a filtered screen. A voice from Earth spoke in her ear. Orders: observe only. Do not engage unless fired upon. She nodded once. Understood. Her eyes were calm. Back on Earth, in a quiet hall carved into the bones of a forgotten mountain, the Terran Council met in private. A large black table. No decorations. No windows. Just a single glowing screen showing all Titan-class ship positions. Do they understand now? One council member asked. Another answered softly, yes. They understand that we've been preparing since the moment they laughed at us. They think we're done. The others turned to the fleet marshal as he stepped forward. He tapped the screen twice. A new line appeared. Titan 04. Status: under construction. Planned launch soon. In the outer systems, the name Titan 01 became legend. No one spoke of Earth's weakness anymore. Now, whispers were reverent. They walk the stars in silence. They hold weapons we cannot name. They arrive when we expect no one. They fire only once. Stories of encounters grew. A rogue fleet caught in a black hole field saved by a Titan's precise intervention. A planet on the brink of civil war suddenly calmed when a Terran message arrived. We're watching, and the stories always ended the same way. No one knows how many Titans there are, but the lesson was clear. Earth no longer walks the galaxy. It guards it. And as the stars spun on, and the galaxy held its breath, a final message was quietly sent from Earth's secure command core. Not to warn, not to threaten, but to remind. We were never silent because we were weak. We were silent because we were preparing. The Titans are not for war. They are for what comes after. The message ended, and across the stars, no one moved, because the Titans had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Asterisk.